guys for tuning in again for another episode of the Domonique Brand Show. This podcast is set out to encourage you to learn from the lessons of your past so you can become a better version of yourself for your future. This is my guest, Larry Scott. Listen, this guy is a serial entrepreneur, husband, father, leader, but I'll let him tell you more. But we're going to jump right into this thing. What's up, man?
How you doing? Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to know who you are and have some sense of identity. One thing about living in this world, you get clouded with all the things that's happening around you.
Yep.
And we're too concerned about how the people think about us, what they are saying. And a lot of it spawned from our own thoughts. A lot of it is derived from some thoughts towards ourselves and what we think people may be saying about ourselves. And by taking a step back and analyzing self, realizing who we are and who we want to be, then we can kind of just hone in on our self-identity and just take the world by storm through that way.
I love that. What is the whole identity piece? We hear that a lot about that being a catalyst for really choosing yourself, with knowing who you are when it comes to making that decision of choosing you. What is it about identity that we need to know?
Well, I believe that because we have allowed our situations, our environment, our culture, the things that we've experienced in our lives dictate who we are. We have identified with the things that happen in our lives and the things that we've seen in our experiences, and it has shaped and molded us into this individual. And
what should we be identifying with, though, that shapes the self that we should be, cool with?
Well, it's not even so much that it's something to observe, right? It's more so going to the innermost parts of yourself and discovering who you are individually and going ahead and becoming that, right? Whatever that may be, just being, you may be boisterous, or you may be loud, or you may be funny, or you may be quiet. And what happens is that we tend to just be one-sided in our thinking, or we try to become something so we can appeal to others or be something else that we're not. But if you are all of these things or some of these things, it's okay to be that and be yourself.
So how did you get to that point?
Well, that's a somewhat of a long story, but to keep it short, I think I know what happened. I did a lot of self-analyzing during COVID. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this.
Yeah.
We was left with ourselves and those who live with us. And it was a time for a lot of us to do some self-evaluation.
Yeah.
And I always do self-evaluation, but this time was different. I didn't have the bustle of, running a business and taking the kids to school, back and forth to sports or activities and things of that nature that allows us to be kind of distracted from, doing some inner thinking. But because we were home for nearly 2 years, it allowed me to really go internal. And then I discovered some things about myself that needed to be extracted so that I can find my true authentic self. What that looked like was I had identified with some things as a result of some things that occurred in my life. And because of this, I began to carry out and live in this ego, right? This personality, this identity that I adopted for myself, and tried to convince myself and others this is who I am, and I justified my thinking, right, because of what happened to me. And what happens if you stay in this frame of mind, you will really believe it is you. And you will forget that this was triggered by something.
Okay.
Yeah. And by identifying that and uprooting whatever that cause may be, then it'll allow you to
what happens with that? What happened with that part right there? What did you see that cause you to disidentify with that? That's not me. That's not who I want to be.
Yes. Well, to be more specific, it was once I got married, right? It was very difficult for me, and even before I got married, it's in your face all the time once you do get married, you know. But from the age of my early 20s, I had this experience with women that caused me to not trust them, right? And
that sounds very familiar.
Yes,
a lot of guys.
Yeah, a lot of guys go through the same thing. A lot of times when I tell this story to men, they can relate to it. Okay, and what we do is we create these defensive mechanisms to protect ourselves from being hurt by others. And when it comes to women and engaging in women, you know, we do things. I'll tell you what I did. I did things to prevent myself from becoming too emotionally attached to women, so I can walk away and not feel anything if we were ever to depart. And that I took that into my marriage. And now my wife does know this story, and she can tell you as well. So I don't have a problem telling you. But it was very difficult for me to hold my wife's hand, to tell her I love her, to compliment her, give her public affection and things like that. And I understood it to be like, you know, this is not right. You know, I should be able to do these things. Why is it difficult for me? It's not that I didn't desire to, because I would think about doing those things to her and for her, but I could not even fix my lips to compliment her. Right? It was very difficult.
Wow.
And I had to do a lot of self-evaluation as to the reason why that is, because I did desire to, but I just couldn't do it. And it was because I made certain vows, and that's important to know.
Yeah.
We make certain vows to uphold, and it becomes a part of who we are. It's not the truth of who we are,
right?
But we identify with the
right.
vow.
Because that vow is just reinforcing, you know. Yeah. And I think sometimes if something do go wrong, you want to be able to say, "See, I knew it. See, I knew it." You know what I'm saying? I knew I couldn't really.
And you look for it. See,
Ooh,
that ego is looking for a reason to exist and to survive. It doesn't want to die. So if you're saying to yourself, you know, I'm never going to be hurt again, or this ego, see, I had an ego that was called, I am nobody's fool.
Ooh,
right?
My God.
And by that means that everyone is suspect. And anytime someone was to say something or do something that gave me a reason to walk away or to dismiss or whatever, it justified the ego's existence.
Yeah, it just confirmed what you always thought.
Right.
Until.
Right. So, until I did some self-evaluation, understood that ego was of my own creation. Yes, these things happened to me. Yes, this woman said that. Yes, this woman did that. Yes, these people caused this or what have you. But I believed it.
Yeah.
Right? I can't control people's behavior, and I can't control people's words.
That was my thinking when you were telling that story. Like, if it's a trust issue with women across the board, how do you get out of that?
Well, what I realized in this journey that I've been in the past couple of years, I've always been on the journey since I reached the age of comprehension, right?
Yes.
We're all trying to figure out this thing called life. But I did a lot of internal work these past couple of years, and I've come to some great conclusions and some identifying factors, what's going on inside of me. And in regards to trust and anything that we go through as human beings, I'll be honest with you, I believe that everything points to self. And all of our thinking and all of our experiences, it is a result of self, right? So if we can't trust people, guess what? It's because you have lack of trust in your own self.
Ooh, Lord.
Because how we treat people and how we perceive people is nothing but a reflection of ourselves.
That's true.
So if I have an issue with trust, it's because I don't trust me. And if I can't trust me, then I sure can't trust you. If I can't trust me to do the right thing, what make me think I can trust someone else to do the right thing?
I love that. It was something I talked about on a different podcast. I think I kind of put on social media too, is that I don't need to worry about trusting you or not trusting you. I trust me to do the right thing when things come to light. I trust me.
Yeah.
I trust me that, you know what, that doesn't align with my vision or that's a boundary for me. I trust me to make those decisions once things appear. You can't babysit these people. We can't control these people.
Yeah.
Micromanage these people.
Yeah. Think about it. If you're saying to yourself that, for an example, I'm going to go and be dedicated to this diet, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to restrain from eating sweets or what have you.
Yeah.
But you go a good week doing it, and then you cheat a little bit, right? And you can never see your goals all the way through,
right?
Or you don't even live up to your own word all the time, and
goodness.
are a cheater, or you are not following things through.
Yes.
If you see that in you,
oh my goodness, this is so good to me.
Then in your own mind, your thinking is, well, this must pertain to everyone else. Let me talk to you about cheating a little bit. You know why a lot of people are always suspicious of their spouse cheating? Well, one of the reasons, I think it may be the primary reason, but one of the primary reasons is because they may be cheating themselves. If I am getting away with this, then it's possible that they're getting away with it as well.
Man.
So I can't trust that they're being faithful because I'm not being faithful. But if I'm doing my due diligence and being faithful in a relationship, then that gives me faith in the other person.
You hear me? Because I've had encounters or situations where a person would say, my bad, I didn't call you. I don't want you to think I was doing nothing. And I was like, I think that you're doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I'm in the house. I'm a homebody, or I'm always working or creating something or working with clients. All I can, as far as my capacity could go, is where I am. It's something else that you say that I like. That's too much work. That's too much work to try to figure out what people are doing. Talk about, real quick, the deciding factors of, let me get rid of this and adopt another perspective.
Well, first of all, you got to make a choice. That's what you want to do in the first place.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the very first thing that has to happen. Do you want to be better?
Oh, God. For you.
Yeah.
Because you'll be sick of you.
Yeah.
Because we can't change nobody else. We only can change ourselves. And I like that. So you accepted that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I took responsibility for my own actions and my behaviors and my own thoughts.
Radical responsibility.
And that's the thing about it is, we are dealing in most of the population being in their adolescent mind, the animalistic mind, the mind of the carnal man, where let's use the adolescency of of mankind.
Okay.
The adolescent man always blames others for their situation.
Yes.
Always blames others for
how they view themselves. Yeah.
Yes, that's what children do, right? Mommy, he told me to do it, or mommy, they said this, and that. No, but what did you do as a result of that? Mm-hmm. How did you respond? What did you say? Right? And that takes, accountability to start saying, hey, you know what? Yes, these people may influence me or try to get me to do this or try to get me to say that, but I'm going to take responsibility for my own actions and my own behaviors, and I did it or I won't do it as a result of my own decision making, and that's important to do. So I think what has to happen is we have to get to a place of maturity, right? But again, like I said earlier, a lot of that maturing process, in order to get to that place, is to dispel some of the things that's caused you to be stagnant.
Yes.
I know in psychology they'll teach you that trauma stunts growth, stunts mental maturity. So a lot of adults are nothing but grown children. They're still stuck at that 9-year-old. And again, I have not experienced my children being adults yet, but I have had my own experience being a child and being an adult as well. And the things that I think would have helped me to propel myself into maturity. And I believe in this format of raising children, okay? So remember, we talked about the adolescent child. The adolescent child is they're more interested in what pleases their soul immediately. They want candy at any given time of the day. They don't want to stay, keep their hygiene up. They don't want to take a bath. You got to kind of force them to take baths. You got to force them to eat right. You got to force them to brush their teeth and take showers and all these different things. You have to kind of teach them right from wrong because they just have no cognitive ability to kind of rationalize things in their life. So that's the responsibility of the parent to kind of dictate how their days go as far as keeping them out of harm's way and all of these things. I'll give you a sidebar. Genesis, where it talks about how man did not know good and evil, right? That's your child. That's the adolescent man. The child grows up not knowing right from wrong, good from evil. They're just existing, and they're just looking to whatever pleases their appetite, right? So, and this is the sad thing is a lot of people grow up with that same mentality, right? Still trying to appeal to their appetites, right? Gluttony and greed and pride and fornication and sexual pleasures and things of that nature. But let's go back to the children. So when it comes to children, I believe because they're in this adolescent stage and like maturity, we have to give our children the written law. The written law and punishment. Some people ain't gonna like this, okay? But I do believe in a form of punishment for our children. And not just, and it could be, it's up to your discretion whether or not you want to use the extent of not sparing the rod or making them stand in a corner, but they have to have some repercussion for their actions.
That's true.
Because again, a child, when they get to a corner and have to make a decision, they saying I want these cookies, but mommy said I can't have no cookie until dinner is done and I eat dinner, but I really want this cookie, right? They may choose the cookie, right? But if they've never been faced with a decision like this before and they decide to eat the cookie and mom comes in and disciplines the child, what does that tell the child? Well, disobedience means this outcome, right? Again, they may not have the cognitive ability to just reason within themselves and say, this is not the right thing to do. I want to honor my mother. They're not having those conversations at 4 and 5. Right? You have to instill some form of punishment, the written law. You shall not do this. You cannot go here. You may not touch this. And if you do this, I'm going to whoop your tail.
This is how they look as an adult, though. You're trying to control me, so I'm leaving. They look at that as an attack on their personal freedoms.
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that because that's where we're going to next. So I believe in the beginning stages of the adolescent child, that stage from infancy all the way up until maybe 9, 10, 11, up until that point you're instilling, you're giving them laws and mandates along with punishment when they disobey the laws and the mandate. But then you have to slowly transition out of that, because what you need your child to do is develop the ability to rationalize.
Apply what you taught them.
Yeah, you have to start applying. They have to start being able to have the ability to be at that crossroads and make the right decisions.
Yes.
So that means you have to give them the decision. Allow them to have the decision to make.
Yes.
See, and as a child, they have no choice. You're going to do what mama say. You're going to do what daddy say. But as they get older, you need them to develop the ability to rationalize. So you have to start practicing that with your children. So when they become 9, 10, 11, maybe even earlier, it just depends on the maturing of that child, that individual child. You can start instilling something different. So you're starting off with mandate and punishment, and then you transition to agreement and consequence. And let me explain what that means. You go to your 9-year-old son and you tell him, son, if you do good in school, see, before then, you going to read this book. Before that, you going to clean your room. But now they can begin to reason, because they're asking you questions. Well, what does this mean, Daddy? And what does that mean when you say this, Mommy? Or what is that over here? All these why questions, right? Now they're trying to understand their environment around them. So now they have started to develop the ability to start being rational and to reason and things like that. So we go into that age now to where you start to give them, offer them agreement.
Yes.
That looks like this. Son, school is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And, you keep coming to me asking for these Jordans, right? And video games. I have the ability to provide that for you, son. But let's put something on the table. I tell you what, if you keep your grades up and your room clean throughout the whole school year, then I will buy you those Jordans.
I like that because a lot of, in the coaching space, we're dealing with home issues. It's like, you do what I say because this is my house being done.
Right.
And I feel that when you do that, there's a divide, a huge divide of ownership and responsibility, because it moves into, okay, this is yours, I don't have a stake here.
Right.
And so when I talk to my children, it's always, can we partner? How you talk to people matters. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we think because there are kids that we can just show up any kind of way.
Right.
But the thing that sticks in my head that keeps me focused on what I do is I'm not raising my child to be a child. I'm not raising my kid to stay with me forever. I'm raising my child to be an adult.
Mommy and daddy ain't going to always be around. And if they grow up and they're 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, still living under a mandated environment,
mm-hmm.
they'll go out into the world relying on mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
Right? They have not developed any sense of independency.
Yeah.
And you have to start doing that and cultivating that in the home early.
Ooh.
Again, going back to that example of, son, if you clean your room and have your grades on point, then I will reward you with these things. See, you're teaching him to be responsible for his own behavior, right? As an adolescent infant and a toddler and a young child, a young boy, young girl, they all they understand is touch hot stove, it burns, right? Or do something that mommy don't say, I get whooping, right? So now their behavior is being kind of mandated because they don't want a particular outcome, not because they reason within themselves. They just know that 2 + 2 = whooping, right? So
not paying your bills equal
it's
cut
not
off
in
eviction.
them, right? It's not in them to do right.
Yeah.
They just don't want that particular outcome, right? But now you got to start instilling some behavior where it's going to be in them. So you sit down, and another thing what this does as well, it teaches your children, okay, some other people might not like this as well, but your child ain't yours. They are their own sovereign being.
They are.
Okay? Now you are responsible for them because they came out of you, but ultimately they have to be their own sovereign being. So now you have to start, it's your responsibility now to get them to adopt sovereign, self-governing ability.
Let me throw something in there right there, because, man, listen, one of the things I say when I'm helping people, you can't control these people. Mm-hmm. You don't own, marriage don't make you own the person, and now you've given up all your sovereignty to self because now we are in a union. No, that's not what that means.
Mm-hmm. But what you do have is agreement.
Yes.
And that's what submission is. Let me talk to the ladies right
now.
Oh,
Lord.
Submission is nothing but agreement.
Ah.
Okay? See, I think we think that submission has something to do with someone has rule over me.
It doesn't.
No, it does not. Submission is agreement. You're agreeing that this man is going to be the head of my life or the head of the household, and I'm going to agree that he's going to take this position in this role over this household. It's not that he's the ruler, right? So get to a place to where, and there's nothing for the men though. You have to have something that she can agree to.
Oh Lord! So I want to go back to because we can keep this going for a long time, but what's going on now with you?
Well, yeah, my business is doing very well. My relationship with my wife is rekindled.
And this is a direct result of that inventory.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very comfortable with who I am. My identity is not, does not rest upon my experiences with people. I don't allow my mind to create certain just random thoughts, right? So that I can, so that I'm not creating some form of anxiety or depression or anything. My mind is not running rampant or nothing like that.
You're not taking that stuff from your past. You really,
I'm not living in my past. I'm not living in my future neither. That's another thing that people have to understand. You know what I believe? I had been in a form of depression before, and it was because this is my definition of depression, and I'm sure there's many others, but this is my own personal experience. It's when my future, right? Because as a man, there's certain things that you want to achieve as a man. You know, you want to be a provider, you want to be a protector, right? You want to be at a financial place in your life. You know, you have children and a wife and responsibilities, and there's a certain place in your life that you want to be in. And so you're envisioning this future that you're going to have, but if it seems so far away from you, and it feels unattainable, so then so my definition of the depression, this form of depression, is when your future is not incongruent with your present, and it seems so far away that you get into this stagnant state, and you get into this depressed state. So I don't allow my mind to run rapid like that anymore. I have more control, and I'm more centered, and I take things as they are. I live in the moment, and that's where I am today. And again, my life is flourishing, everything is getting better, but at the same time, I'm just content with everything. I'm just content with everything. I'm at peace with everything, and what comes to me is going to be mine. If things don't happen a certain particular way, I'm still okay, and at the end of the day, I'm at peace with it.
I like that. I think sometimes even myself struggle with control, the outcome, want it to be a certain type of way for the same reasons, just a predetermined future in my mind. But I love how, as people who are dedicated to that self-development process, that we can adjust ourselves and enjoy our todays. That's my favorite saying is, I'm just enjoying my today.
We talked about agreement and consequence. So again, the small child is where you mandate and instill punishment. Punishment is up to you, whether it be sitting in the corner or you decide to use a belt or what have you. You know, that's up to you. That's your discretion. But then we're transitioning to agreement and consequence, right? Agreement and consequence. First, mandate and punishment, then agreement and consequence. So you sit down with your child and you reason with your child, and you leave that child to make the adjustment. Let them exercise choosing the right thing. Allow them to do that, but that consequence, do not save them from the consequences of their choices.
Do not save them. Don't
save them. That's the thing that a lot of, especially mothers, we like to save our children from their consequences. And you have to, if you say you're going to take the phone, take the phone. If you say you're going to keep the phone for a week, keep it for a week.
I think that's the worst thing you can do, is not be a person of your word, period. Child or not. You teach people how to treat you, that they won't believe you. They'll be punking you out. I'm trying to tell you right now.
That's the thing. And then you'll have them going into the world thinking that they don't have to suffer the consequence. Because they learned that consequence wasn't a thing at home. Because you're living through your children. And you're upset. You don't want them to be mad at you because you was mad at your mama.
You see? Look at that. Look at how we carry that.
You're parenting your child based on your past experiences. Not to say that you shouldn't take your experiences, not take them at all. You should learn from your experiences and use them into your what's going on in your life today. But some things that we need to cut off from. So don't save your children from their consequences. Allow them to go through it so that they can learn to be self-governing. And then when they get 16, 17, and 18 years old, let them make their own choices. If they want to wear, I'm in the clothing field, if they want to wear some tapered pants and they want to wear high waters, let them wear them. That's what they choose to do.
They're getting to know themselves too. You know what? I'm going to throw this in here, throw my little stuff in here. Whatever he's saying, if you identify with, I guess, the child part more in you, and you're raising the child, there's something called reparenting. Like, don't be scared to implement some of this stuff on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of us still growing with our children. We're growing up too. We can't help what we didn't get as well. We are where we are.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to, hey, you know what, son, daughter, I'm trying to figure it out too.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
cool.
don't like the consequences, you know, from some of the bad choices I made. I really think that parents pat yourself on the back for wanting to implement something else going forward. And you can count on.
You know, and to just to wrap things up, you know, I use the taper leg and the high water pants as an example.
Yeah.
If you really don't want your child to wear that, right? Watch this. Tell them why. Give them something else to consider, and then allow them to make the choice. You know, I see this all the time.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, they're going to prom and they want to do a black suit, right? But they want the tuxedo and not the regular black suit. Well, in your mind, you're saying, well, if we get the regular black suit, then he'll have something for an interview, something for a funeral, something for a wedding. He'll be able to use this multiple times, right? Instead of buying this and have to go back and buy another suit later. We can just buy a suit one time and it serves all these purposes. Well, explain that to them and then let them make the choice.
Yes.
And if they make the poor choice, then let them suffer the consequence of that choice.
Right.
This is how they learn.
Right. But a lot of parents don't want to be a part of the consequential process. Like,
Because that means you might have to buy another suit.
Right. Right. Now I gotta. But see, release the control on that. Why you gotta buy another suit?
Yeah.
So they can look good next event? Nah. They
Right.
gonna look like the clown they is at that next one.
This
you
what you
hear
tell
me?
them. This what you want to wear? Okay, this what you're going to be wearing for church. This what you're going to be wearing for the funeral. Because I'm only buying one suit and make a choice.
Make a choice.
What's going to be the
See,
best
as
option.
you don't have to abandon yourself and your self-government.
Let me ask you this question before we
Yeah.
go. So you give your son
Yeah.
and say, hey, the doors lock at 12. If you're not in the house by 12, what's the consequence?
He can't get in the door.
And that means he may be outside on the porch in the back or something like that. Guess what? That's where he gonna be at.
That's where he gonna be at.
I bet you he won't do it again.
And this is real life. I've done this.
Why it might be difficult for you to do that is because potentially when you were growing up, you know, maybe you was left stranded somewhere and you don't want to do that to your child. So you refused to make them suffer the consequence, right? Because it reminds you of something that you grew up in, right? And you don't want them to experience what you experienced. But by you doing that, again, it doesn't have to be exactly what we're describing,
That's
right? We're just giving you an example. But by you allowing them not to suffer the consequence, you're allowing them to build up poor character and poor judgment, okay? And then you get mad when they get in trouble with the law because they didn't have to suffer the consequence at home. So now they're going to go out into the world not thinking they're going to have to suffer the consequence. And then you all in the courtrooms trying to save your child when he done did something that he probably deserves to go to jail for. I've done experienced that before. Not me personally doing something, but I've been the victim of a crime where the mama was right there trying to save their child from jail time when they was probably deserving of it, right? So that's all. I hope that was good for y'all.
Hey man, this is dope. I know people, and I know people can resonate with a lot of the things that you said, Larry. You're a valuable person, a wealth of information. That means everything to me. What else you got going on? Entrepreneurship, what's coming up for you?
Well, you know, my friend Domonique here has always been encouraging me to, you know, lend my voice in a more broad way. Again, I own a business called King Me Menswear and Tuxedos. I do formal attire, weddings, and proms and homecomings is more so my lane. If you're interested in any apparel, you're getting married, please stop by the business. Check out the website, kingmemenswear.com. And we're on social media outlets such as Instagram at King Me Menswear as well. But anyhow, like Domonique was describing, at these sessions, when you set an appointment with me, if the appointment is going a certain way and I see an opportunity to drop something in your mentality or in your psyche for your wedding, if you're getting married. I talk to young people too. I have these sessions with when young people come in and they need something for prom, and we have the opportunity to have and I'll share some things with them. And it's been very profound. Sometimes these nuggets turn into an hour conversation, sometimes 2 hour conversations, and then they want to do more, so it ends up being multiple sessions with these couples. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me for that, or just book an appointment. And if you're not interested in that, you can go ahead and get your attire as well. I'd like to help you in that regard. But as Domonique was saying, I think I'm going to broaden that. I just enjoy doing it. I just enjoy sharing my mind, sharing my experiences, the things that I've discovered about, humanity. And I just enjoy it. And my friend is trying to convince me, and I'm already there. She's trying to push me anyhow. I'm already convinced, but she's pushing me to, hurry up and get some things going. So be looking out for a podcast potentially. It's a podcast of some sort where I discuss more about relationships, identity, and another subject matter that I think is not really honed in on is the kingdom of heaven, right? I want to really discuss about the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God.
Yes.
Talking about that and what that means from my perspective and what I perceive and extract from the Bible in that regard. I'm telling you, that's going to be a very, very, very interesting conversation.
Very, very.
I'm telling you, this most likely is going to be something you've never heard before. Okay? Because I've never heard it, and I've been in church all my life.
All your life.
And I had no idea what the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God was until now. And through my journey these past couple of years, it really revealed to me what it really was. If anything, from my perspective,
Right.
But you're going to get different ideologies behind it. But I believe this right here is what centered me the most. This understanding. So be looking for
comments
that.
what y'all like, so I can bring my guy back. Don't be afraid to do it. All right, talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
I can only be me. I can never be you.